This is the Smart Cities project for new economy, digital ecosystems, and platforms. We are group Los Intercambios, presenting on Boston, Massachusetts as a smart city. Massachusetts, it's one of the best cities in America. It's known for its big time sports, lovely charm, rich history, and delicious seafood. But do you know what else Boston is really known for? It's confusing and horrible roads. I'm talking about streets that curve and bend in all different directions, one ways you don't realize are one ways, stop signs you can't see, and merging zones you can't tell are coming. I can't tell you how many times I've walked across this exact crosswalk right here on the right, and a car comes flying around the corner and almost hits me. But this is of no fault to the driver. It is impossible to know there is an intersection and crosswalk here if you have never driven by it before. And anyone who has ever driven in Boston can attest to something like this happening to them. So, of course, Boston isn't a perfect city. Public transit isn't always reliable, trash pickup can be poor, and winters can be extreme. But what if we can prove these things about Boston that we don't like? What if we could turn Boston into an innovative and futuristic city? What if we can make Boston a smart city?
It's no secret that populations are rapidly rising, especially within urban areas. The United Nations has reported that 55% of the population currently resides in the city, and the number is only expected to rise to 68% by 2050. With a daunting rise in population comes a variety of challenges that must be anticipated and addressed, from congestion, waste management, crime, and environmental degradation, to access to education, employment, healthcare, and food. And the stress levels imposed on cities around the world is only expected to increase. The European Commission explained the impact that technology has had on our societies. For example, most people still travel using manually operated personal cars powered by internal combustion engines, which have been with us since the early 1900s. Rather than relying on existing foundations to cope with these expanding populations and the issues that result from it, more disruptive technologies will be needed. Although digital solutions via smarter cities are only one of the tools needed to make a city great, McKinsey argues that they're the most powerful and cost-effective additions seen in many years. You may be wondering what a smart city even is. Sounds great, but fundamentally, a smart city leverages data, information, and communication technologies to improve the daily life of residents and promote sustainability. If you currently live in a city, you're most likely interacting with smart technologies already. For example, in 2015, New York City began replacing phone booths throughout the boroughs with charging stations that are Wi-Fi enabled to connect individuals regardless of their location. The city of Copenhagen partnered with MIT to develop intelligent bike systems. And in Norway, the city of Oslo is aiming to become fossil-free by 2030. The Bruno Kessler Foundation recently received 18.5 million euros to fund a 5G smart highway along the 600-kilometer corridor running from Italy to Austria to Germany. The speed in which the traffic data collected will help improve response times to accidents, as well as information on improvements needed for the infrastructure. The impact that these technologies will have on cities are all invaluable to the quality of life that the residents will be able to maintain. We now turn our attention to the capital of the third most dense state in the United States, Boston, Massachusetts. This year, Boston held a density of over 13,000 people per square mile and is growing at its fastest rate in decades. Together, we will review the ways in which Boston can continue to tackle the problems posed by their expanding population by becoming a leading smart city. Already, Boston has become a leader in the implementation of disruptive technologies, and the resources to implement smart city strategies have proven to already exist. Together with Verizon, for example, Boston has begun to aggregate data on the way drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians travel within high traffic intersections. In an effort to minimize traffic congestion and accidents, they emphasize that this technology will not be used to collect personal data on any individual, but rather to help prevent future accidents. Boston is also exploring other smart city technologies, such as autonomous vehicles, smart parking sensors, interactive public art, Internet of Things devices, and new ways of engaging with residents digitally. To continue their smart city efforts, the mayor's office recently proposed the Boston Smart City Playbook and is looking for feedback and new ideas from the public. They shared that their goal is to create a citywide strategy for the use of sensor technologies. It should be people-centered, problem-driven, and responsible. The mayor's office is leveraging feedback from the public on their proposals, support from local startups such as the Local Sense Lab, and partnerships with Boston's Police Department and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority.
Innovation and adoption of digital platforms could help the Boston government operate more efficiently and deliver better services for its citizens. Use of AI could deliver better evidence-based policymaking by synthesizing data from a wider variety of sources and then using it to optimize and evaluate policies once they've been implemented. Online elections have already been used to scale to success in Estonia, for example. And in Boston, with only 38% turning out for the recent state elections in November, online voting could lower the barriers to vote and increase turnout, providing everyone can participate. Public planning could evolve by expanding into the metaverse using an environment similar to that of its digital twin or virtual replica, which already exists since 2015. This could be used to simulate the effects of the natural environment and interaction with the built environment while leveraging social imagination by encouraging citizens to give their feedback and thoughts on proposed changes. Energy and utilities is an area where adoption of smart technology could improve efficiency of existing infrastructure, lower emissions and costs for citizens. Boston's Smart Utilities program has already started working towards these goals since 2020 with the construction of energy microgrids across the city using renewable energy sources. Expanding this network equipped with IoT sensors could be used to propel Boston towards more sustainable use of resources in the future. And energy usage pattern data could be used to advise citizens on how to lower their energy costs by avoiding periods of peak demand. Adaptation is a key theme when thinking about transitioning to a smart city, and this is applicable to the education system as Boston faces a quickly changing labor market. Digitalization of learning content and online education can be used to make the system in Boston more flexible and improve on digital literacy for generations in the future. Nevertheless, online learning during the pandemic has shown that immersive educational experiences are necessary, and these can be facilitated by VR and AR technology and potentially environmental educational environments in the metaverse in the future. It's certain that technology will eliminate some jobs from the labor market, but will also create some in the installation and maintenance of smart technology. As a hub for higher education, Boston should promote lifetime learning to its citizens by offering opportunities to retrain when jobs are eliminated by technology. Another theme is resilience in the face of change, and this is applicable to climate and the local environment. Boston is a city that faces events like blizzards, floods, and coastal storms at different points throughout the year. And use of AI could be used to detect more subtle changes in the environment that indicate these events are forthcoming, and then map their impacts so that aid and rescue teams can be diverted to where they're needed to keep citizens of Boston safe. Expanding the network of solar-powered air quality sensors can be used to detect where pollutants are generated, while strategies to reduce congestion and increase use of renewable energies will also serve to improve air quality. And installation of smart waste disposal and recycling units can help to promote cleanliness of Boston's public spaces and improve the efficiency of waste management services. And it also could be used for gamification of recycling, where local communities are rewarded for responsible management of their waste. Boston is ranked highly among global hubs for digital finance, so it should look to promote inclusive financial platforms for all of its citizens. For example, expanding the network of digital payment platforms could make business more convenient and more secure. Inclusivity is an issue when considering digitized finance, since those without access to digital devices could quickly be excluded from essential services. Encouraging acceptance of cryptocurrencies for payment by businesses across the city could lower transaction costs and make business more secure due to the encryption of sender and recipient data through the blockchain. As touched upon, technological access is at the pillar of transitioning to a smart city. So actions such as the digital equity assessment by the Boston government recently are very valuable. As the IoT network expands and more aspects of life become digitized, the extent of big data collected in the city will expand almost exponentially. So the government has a responsibility to be transparent and ensure privacy and security for the data it collects about citizens. Recent examples have shown the difficulties of ensuring these guidelines are followed by private companies, but it's key that regulatory measures are introduced to protect the interests of citizens.
Transportation is one of the most important factors when it comes to the health and operations of a city. So let's dig deeper into it. There are many cities around the world that have already started implementing AI in their transportation sectors. For example, Shanghai is using an AI-led ticketing system through voice activation to help smooth traffic in the subways, and Amsterdam is using AI to analyze vehicle traffic patterns and give citizens alternative options to using their car. But let's circle back to the story that I led off with. How can we leverage AI to solve this problem? Especially when we consider that in a study done by Allstate Insurance, Boston was ranked 198th out of 200 cities for safe driving. Well, an amazing way to solve Boston's road problem would be to create a digital AI interface that would appear on the windshield of cars so that drivers could better detect upcoming stop signs, crosswalks, lane mergings, one-ways, and bends in the street. Real-time data could be sent from sensors all over the city to the car being driven, and then these cars would then use that AI tech to project a digital hologram on the car's windshield. The city could also use this data to locate high-risk intersections and streets that need improvements. And this technology may not even be that far away. There's a company called Envisix that is currently working on this technology right now. This would allow Boston to greatly limit crashes, fatalities, and improve overall road safety. Boston is also known for being one of the worst cities in the US for congestion and traffic. In 2019, commuters in Boston spent an average of 149 hours in traffic per year. Part of the issue is that population and city growth is outpacing roadway expansion, and especially in Boston. What if we could utilize AI in part with the sharing economy to decrease the amount of cars on the road and decrease congestion? Luckily, this is already on the rise. Trucks and other commercial transportation vehicles are large and take up a lot of valuable space on the roadways, and they often don't even reach maximum capacity within the truck. The sharing economy could be used to allow transportation providers and consumers to save on costs while also decreasing the amount of individual trucks on the road. So how would this work? Well, AI platforms are already being created that allow companies to leverage shared assets and services and use available space in shipping and other shipping vehicles for their product instead of having to own and operate trucks themselves. This will allow companies to save money by removing themselves from costly asset ownership while also significantly decreasing the amount of trucks on the road and therefore congestion. This could ultimately significantly cut down on commuting times in Boston, which is one of the main problems facing the transportation sector of Boston.
Healthcare is another issue that needs to be considered in Boston. Hunger and food insecurity are costing the state of Massachusetts $2.4 billion annually, according to the Greater Boston Food Bank. That's a lot of money. 1 in each 10 households are unable to afford enough food. Food insecurity causes other health problems, which also come with costs. For example, obesity, mental health conditions, diabetes, and heart diseases. And these are some of the things that are costing the most to the Boston government. But what if we could change this in the smart city of Boston? One strategy to combat hunger and food insecurity would be to avoid the food waste. We can evoke the concept of a shared economy because the smart city of Boston could develop platforms that would encourage food sharing and the exchanging of leftovers. This would also allow for building relationships, connection, and collaboration within cities. This perhaps could be in the form of mobile apps designed to reduce food waste and reduce food costs for households by improving the management of food in cities. Food surplus from restaurants, cafes, supermarkets could be sold at reduced rates to allow for access to healthy food for all households. Luckily, actually, apps like this already exist, such as Too Good To Go, but we could further this perhaps with GPS tracking and AI, but perhaps now you could post your food that you're going to throw away if you're going away or you don't want it, and someone come pick it up from your house to combat food insecurity. Or perhaps we introduce meal sharing and maybe an algorithm that connects you directly with someone who is likely to share their food with you. Given the recent pandemic, our smart city would also want to avoid a similar outbreak. Therefore, all citizens could wear wellness rings, which connects directly with their designated GP. This will then alert them of potential diseases, but also alerts them when they're in close proximity of anyone with infectious diseases, and when they should avoid being around others to spread diseases. In this way, fewer people would be ill. There would be a lower chance of epidemics, pandemics, and there would therefore also be less pressure on healthcare systems in Boston. And much of the healthcare contact could be virtually carried out anyway. These rings could also detect life-threatening illnesses at a treatable stage, further reducing long-term pressure on healthcare systems. It's been proven that using interventions to prevent diseases at an early stage is really effective to reduce the burden of these chronic diseases on the city. With our smart city, we explored various ideas of apps that could be used to engage citizens and to encourage a culture of participation. Firstly, what if there was a singular app which every citizen was required to have, on which there was information on all the city resources, like bin schedules, public transport schedules, event information, recreational activity, cycle routes, contact information of councils, organisations within the city for cooperation. This exists in various cities already, and it's effective, but more importantly, would be the promotion and requirement for all citizens to use this app. Similar to this app, we can have an instance reporting app that connects directly with the government that would be beneficial for our smart city. For example, citizens can report when traffic lights stop working, if trees are falling down, road closures, overflowing bins, broken objects, when mobile networks are down. And in this way, we would ensure rapid resolution of city problems and improve communication. The city would function in a really, really efficient way. Thirdly, and I consider this to be the smartest proposal, is a smart street lighting platform. Perhaps streetlights that are sensitive to movement. Say, if someone is walking or driving within 30 meters from the streetlights will turn on. But if not, they'll remain off. In this way, we can save electricity in the city, but maintain safety because they'd only turn on if someone was walking down that street. Make for a greener city and less light pollution.
Artificial intelligence is the future, and it has the power to change things for the better. It is already being used in cities around the world, but it is only beginning. Local governments need to invest in these life-changing technologies or face being left behind. Boston, Massachusetts is a case study for a city with the perfect opportunity to be a pioneer in the development of smart cities. Home to some of the best universities in the world, it is a cluster of knowledge and has the potential to implement some of the most innovative and impactful technologies of today. So yes, Boston is one of the best cities in the world, but can you imagine what it would be like as a truly smart city? Thank you.